Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Roll Tide 99 reaction to Georgia versus Alabama. And you're actually getting a little bit of bonus coverage because I'm looking at the end of the LSU Ole Miss game. This game right here. So you're getting a little bit of bonus coverage. There's a little bit of overlap right here. Chambliss gets it to an Ole Miss player, and that looks like it's going to end the game, and Ole Miss is going to win it here over LSU. LSU is going to lose the first game of the season. Disappointing for LSU, because if they could have stopped Ole Miss here, they could have possibly had a chance to win the game. Instead, it looks like Ole Miss is going to end up taking it. Minute 37 left in the game. 1st and 10, no timeouts for LSU. So that looks like it's going to put an end to LSU's hopes of winning the game. And LSU is going to take their first loss of the season. So we assume they're going to take a fall in the standings. LSU was number 4 going into the game. So we assume they're going to take a little bit of a tumble in the standings, whereas Ole Miss is going to rise a little bit from their 13th spot. Again, welcome to everybody. I mean, you get a little bit more than you bargained for here because, well, we ended up going live while the LSU Ole Miss game was still on. So you get a little bit of commentary for that. Somebody in the comment section, if you're watching this right now, told me how in the heck did Hottie Toddy become a thing? And that was posted on Facebook earlier, and honestly, I don't even have an answer to how in the heck Hottie Toddy became a thing. It sounds like they're trying to rip off Alabama's slogan with the Tide there. I do have some more commemorative stuff. I'm not going to launch a line yet, but if I do grow the subscriber base a little bit more, then I might start doing some merchandise on the channel. I would have to hit at least 500 subscribers before I even start doing that. But, I mean, it's a possibility. But check out this new koozie, the Roll Tide 99 koozie. Shout out to the person who made it for me and their company. Officially final, Ole Miss 24, LSU 19. So we assume that means that within the next 10 minutes, they are going to go ahead and start the Alabama versus Georgia game. Again, some rules we're going to set here. No trolling. I mean, you can troll, be funny, but be respectful in the comment section. Do not curse. Don't say anything that would get me demonetized if this channel becomes monetized in the future. And that's pretty much it. ABC on ESPN crew talking to Lane Kiffin at the end of the game. Ole Miss kind of an upset here, although they do continue the streak that's been going on since 2020, where the home team has won that series in LSU. So that's going to bring us, well, they're not showing footage of it yet, but Alabama, Georgia. Alabama and Georgia have played 7 times since Kirby Smart has been the head coach of Georgia. Alabama comes in the game with a 6-1 record over Kirby Smart. However, in that same time period, Alabama has not played in Georgia's home stadium of Sanford Stadium, also known as Between the Hedges, in Athens, Georgia. Alabama has not played in Athens, Georgia since 2015. We'll see if Alabama can respond to that in this game today. Both teams having a lot of vulnerabilities that have been exposed in their recent games. Georgia's offensive vulnerabilities was exposed against Austin Peay of all schools. Meanwhile, Alabama got exposed against Florida State, but has looked very well. I did just forget to mention it, but now I remembered. Georgia's defense looks absolutely terrible against Tennessee. We'll see if Alabama can exploit the same defensive weaknesses that Tennessee did, and or the same offensive weaknesses that Austin Peay exploited. Commercial break here on ESPN ABC. Game Game should be starting somewhere in the next 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. As it is currently 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central on the dot, which was the advertised start time of the game. Other notable things that happened in college football today: Illinois getting an upset victory over USC. As we just saw and heard, LSU losing their first game of the year. They lose to Ole Miss 24-19. And the big story of this week has been the Georgia versus Alabama game. Can Alabama win a big one on the road in the SEC? They did last year against LSU, blowing out LSU in Tiger Stadium. But other than that, Alabama in the SEC has looked relatively unimpressive on the road, losing to Vanderbilt, losing to Tennessee, lost to Oklahoma. So they are 1-3 on the road in the DeBoer era when playing on the road in the SEC. We'll see if Alabama can find some way to turn around their fortunes tonight against arguably the best team in the SEC so far coming into the game, the Georgia Bulldogs. And coverage of the game just flipped to the opening montage of the game. I have not seen the footage yet. I'm hoping, at least calm my nerves a little bit, that DeBoer comes out in his black hoodie that he has been almost unstoppable in since he came to Alabama. It has been confirmed that Jam Miller will be the starting running back for Alabama. He was their leading rusher last year, but missed the first 3 games due to a collarbone injury. He has been confirmed to come back, and he will be the starting running back, which will give Alabama a much-needed boost to their run game that they might very well need tonight against the Bulldogs. I am going to share out the link to the stream to some places that I wanted to share it out to while we have a little bit of break in the action. I probably would have done that earlier, but we had a little bit of bonus coverage to react to. Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler on the call if you're watching it with commentary. Coming up next, so they're going to go to a commercial break and then start the game. I still have not seen whether or not DeBoer is coming out in the black hoodie as Simpson tries to hype up his guys in the huddle before they run out onto the field. I wonder if ESPN's buying into the superstition and is not cutting to him until right as the game starts. It looks, I'm going to have to check the ESPN in just a little bit, but earlier it looked like Mississippi State was about to beat Tennessee. We'll check and see if that actually ends up happening. All right, just shared it out on that one. I have one more place I want to share that link to the stream out before the game starts. All right, just shared it out. Still at commercial break. When they come back, will be the opening kickoff for Georgia versus Alabama. 7:22 left in the fourth quarter. Mississippi State 34, Tennessee 27. So if that interests you, you can watch the end of that game while you wait for this one to come on. At the same time this is taking place, Oregon is playing Penn State, expected to be one of the bigger games in the Big Ten. Other notable scores around the SEC: Texas A&M hangs on to beat Auburn 16-10. Vanderbilt with a big win over Utah State 55-35. That is who Alabama's going to play next week at home. Notre Dame with a huge win over Arkansas 56-13. And yet to start, of course, Alabama, Georgia has not started yet, although they're coming back from commercial break. So I assume it's going to start probably within the next 5 minutes. Kentucky versus South Carolina over on the SEC Network. And just started is number 20, Missouri versus UMass. Pre-game festivities about to wrap up. Georgia band on the field. So we assume Georgia will not be long behind them to take the field. National anthem being played right now for the Georgia versus Bama game, or at least it looks like it. I'm going to take my hat off because they're displaying the American flag. I'm watching it without commentary, but I'm still going to take my hat off out of respect. And flyover. And that crowd, I can already tell, is absolutely rocking over in Sanford Stadium to cheer on the Bulldogs. That is the crowd that Alabama has to contend with tonight. Now, granted, last year Alabama did go on the road to probably the toughest stadium to play in all of college football, the LSU Tigers, Death Valley, and dominated LSU. But this year's Georgia team is a much different beast from LSU. Can Alabama go into this tough environment? That's also been a weird thing too, is that in the one road environment Alabama did manage to win in last year in the SEC was the one we all thought Alabama was going to lose in, because they had already lost on the road at Vandy and on the road at Tennessee, but then they somehow beat LSU on the road. So could maybe Alabama sneak them? We're going to see in a few minutes. ABC now showing highlights of the LSU Ole Miss game. Now they're showing footage of the Alabama locker room. Ty Simpson still have not shown yet whether or not DeBoer is in the black hoodie or if he's in a red polo. If he's in a black hoodie, that might give us a lot of relief. If he's in a red polo, I have a lot of feeling people are going to be throwing their TVs. And we're again at a commercial. It looks like it's about to go to a commercial break. What is it with the college football TV networks and not starting the game on time? You might as well have listed the starting time of this game as 7 o'clock, give or take 10 minutes at this point, because you would be closer to the actual time that the game starts by listing it as 7 p.m. I'm sorry. Well, I'm in the Central Time Zone. 8 p.m. Eastern, give or take 10 minutes than by listing it as 7:30 p.m. Anyway, there's my rant about TV start times. But I think a lot of college football fans feel the same way that I feel about these TV networks. As the teams are more than ready to go at that point, but they have to have all the pomp and circumstance and commercial breaks. We've had more commercial breaks right now than you see during your normal TV show. And they also get stupider because now you have the Ohio State mascot endorsing Burger King for some reason. No, correction, DoorDash. See, that's another weird thing about commercials nowadays is that you almost don't know what product they're endorsing until the very second the commercial ends. Any of you need to top off your beverage or go use the bathroom, this might be a time to do so before the ball gets kicked off in Athens, Georgia, for this game between the Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs. Of course, last year, Alabama led for most of the game, then surrendered the lead late in the fourth, only to come back with a play to Ryan Williams to win the game. Lots of memorable moments in this game series between Alabama and Georgia, especially since Kirby Smart took over the coaching duties of Georgia. Also, this seems very weird that no team has held the lead for the entire game in this series. In fact, Alabama, for most of the series, has actually spent more time trailing than they have leading, but yet they have a 6-1 record against Kirby Smart since Kirby Smart started coaching Georgia. It's shaping up to be a good game. These two teams are definitely excited to play each other. Georgia looking to put the ghost of Alabama's past behind them. Alabama looking to show that they can still hang in the rest of the SEC and that there's no need to panic about them, even though they lost to Florida State, which Florida State did take an upset loss to Virginia last night. Alabama football just shared a post about rainbow over Georgia Stadium. If I were at Alabama football page, I wouldn't be sharing that because that could be more sign up for Georgia than anything. Anyway, the last 7 meetings, we had the 2017 National Championship game, Alabama won. 2018 SEC title game, Alabama won that one. 2020 regular season, 2021 SEC championship game, Alabama won it, as well as the 2023 SEC championship game and the 2024 regular season game in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Georgia's lone win in that stretch over Alabama came in the 2021 season's national title game that took place in Indianapolis, Indiana. None of the games has taken place in Sanford Stadium, home of the Bulldogs. They've all either taken place that one game in Indiana, which Georgia won. The other games, which Alabama won, took place all either in, you had 4 in Mercedes-Benz Stadium and then 2 in Bryant-Denny Stadium. How does this atmosphere affect the game? Georgia rearing and ready. The fans are excited. Doors about to open, I assume, for the Bulldogs since ABC is fixating on them, and it is for the Bulldogs who come out in their red jerseys. There was rumor that they were going to come out in their black jerseys, but no, they're coming out in their red jerseys. Kirby Smart coming out in his red polo. Kirby Smart has had the number of almost every opponent he's played so far. The one opponent he has not had the number of, he is 1-6 against them, is the opponent he plays tonight, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Can Kirby Smart defeat Alabama for the second time? Georgia also comes into this game having not lost a home game since 2019 when they played South Carolina. Alabama could snap the streak tonight, but they have to play a really good game in order to win. Good sign for Alabama is that Kalen DeBoer is coming out in the black hoodie. And here come the Crimson Tide of Alabama, for some reason taking the field second. Don't know if they brought it up on commentary because, once again, I'm watching this on mute, but they focused on Kalen DeBoer in the black hoodie. I'm assuming they brought it up. Anyway, both teams have taken the field. Coin toss coming up, followed by the opening kickoff. It's sad. We have been on stream so far for 21 minutes, and the game has not started yet. It is almost 7:50 Eastern. It's 6:50 right here in the Central Time Zone. You could have listed it at 7 o'clock and been closer to the actual time of the game than 6:30 or 7:30 if you're on the East Coast. Kirby Smart, 107-13 against opponents not named Bama, but 1-6 against Alabama. Kirby Smart, 33 straight wins at home. Alabama looking to snap that streak tonight. Opening kickoff about to come. They are interviewing Kirby Smart on the sideline. And now they take the time to interview Kalen DeBoer on the other opposite side on the sideline. Kalen DeBoer, 6-1 as head coach of Alabama against, or I don't remember if that graphic said 6-1 as head coach of Alabama against AP top 10 teams, or 6-1 in his career against AP top 10 teams. I think it's overall in his career. He's 6-1 against AP top 10 teams. I also, if I remember reading a stat correctly earlier in the week, he's undefeated coming off of a bye week. Georgia, again, with the longest active streak of home wins at 33. Stockton, the starting quarterback for Georgia. Simpson, the starting quarterback for Alabama. Alabama to kick off. Georgia will receive the first half kickoff, so Alabama will receive to start the second half of the game. Let's get ready, Crimson Tide. You got to be on your best game in order to beat the opponent that is in front of you tonight, the Georgia Bulldogs. Kick is in the air, and it is going to go through the back of the end zone. So Georgia is going to start their first possession of the game at their own 25-yard line. Gunnar Stockton, so last time we saw him, 23 of 31 with 3 touchdowns and 304 passing yards. Alabama defense has not looked good against mobile quarterbacks, but Gunnar Stockton may be the least mobile of the mobile quarterbacks they faced so far. Stockton in the shotgun with a running back to his left. Hands it off to the running back, who is going to get stopped for maybe a gain of 1 on the play. Going to bring up 2nd down and 9 for the Bulldogs. Zakaria Branch, wide receiver for Georgia, and Nate Frazier, running back for Georgia, the main ones to look out for other than Stockton. Stockton was in the shotgun, then went under center. Now he goes back to the shotgun. Running back to his right. Stockton takes the snap, looking for a man. Incomplete. Tried to go for it. Georgia receiver tried to dive for it, but could not hang on through contact with the ground. That's going to bring up 3rd and 8 for the Bulldogs. Mike Bobo, offensive coordinator for Georgia. Kane Womack, defensive coordinator for Alabama. Stockton in the shotgun, running back to his left. Stockton takes the snap. He is under immediate pressure, fires it. And after ricocheting off of several people, the ball falls mercilessly to the ground. So Georgia with a 3-and-out to start the game. Good stand by Alabama, as an Alabama defender is able to tip that pass right before it got to the Georgia defender, which altered the ball path just enough to where the Georgia defender couldn't grab it. Solid defensive stand, only to give up a total of only 2 yards to the Georgia offense to start the game, as Georgia punts the ball, and it's going to be fair caught by Alabama at the 25-yard line. So Alabama is going to take it over 1st and 10. Ty Simpson this season, 72% completion yards, 9 touchdowns, no interceptions for Ty Simpson. Of course, the 2 main receivers for Alabama, number 5, Jeremy Bernard, and number 2, Ryan Williams. Simpson under center. Jam Miller, number 26, in the backfield for Alabama. Bernard in motion. Simpson hands it off to Miller. Miller gets the biggest play of the game so far with a gain of about 3.5 yards. Impact players for Alabama, of course, Jam Miller, running back, and Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver. For Georgia, you have linebacker C.J. Allen, as well as K.J. Bolden to look out for. 2nd and 7, Simpson in the shotgun with Miller to his left. Now there's some motion everywhere. Now Simpson to his shotgun by himself. Simpson takes the snap, looking to throw. Has a defender coming at him, but he's able to evade him just long enough to get the throw off, but it is incomplete, intended for number 1. That is going to be 3rd and 7 for the Crimson Tide. Third and 7, Simpson in the shotgun with nobody in the backfield with him. Now he's changing the play, looks like. Now he's got Miller to his left as number 1 goes in motion to the left side, takes the snap, looking to throw it. He escapes and has the first down and then some to about the 40-yard line. First down, Alabama. Looked like a lost play for a second, but he's able to evade a Georgia defender and run it himself. And that's going to be the first down of either team for the game. Simpson not as mobile as Jalen Milroe was last year, but he can still make some plays happen on his feet when he needs to. First down and 10, Simpson in a shotgun, Bernard in motion, Miller in the backfield with Simpson. Hands it off to Miller, who gets maybe a yard, but more than likely looks like he only got back to the 1 yard to the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 10 for the Crimson Tide. Glenn Schumann, defensive coordinator for Georgia is animated at somebody. Clock ticking to nearly 12 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Simpson and shotgun, Miller to the right side of Simpson. Fakes a handoff to Miller, but then keeps it. Simpson looking deep downfield. Ryan Williams was open, but he dropped it. Going to be third and 10 for Alabama. Pretty pass, but Williams could not hang on to it. So that took what looked like was going to be a touchdown, turns it into 3rd and 10 for Alabama. Don't know if you would want to pin that on Simpson or Williams. 3rd down and 10, Simpson alone in the backfield in the shotgun. Takes the snap, throws it out to complete it to number 1, and it looks like it had just enough. Horton, number 1 on the reception, looks like it had just enough for the first down. No official ruling. Now they rule it 4th and 1. They say he called it just before he got to the sticks and went out of bounds. So it'll be officially 4th and 1 for Alabama. Let's see what they choose to do here. Might be a good opportunity to try a tush push, as the play is now under review. The thing I'm going to do for reviews is I'm going to mute my audio. That way I can hear what's going on. I'm going to mute this temporarily, then come back when they give the official ruling. Original call on the field of Alabama being short of the first down is overturned. They say Alabama got the first down, but then got pushed back, which gives Alabama forward progress. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Alabama on a brand new set of downs after the 10-yard throw from Simpson to Horton. 1st and 10, Bama at their own 48-yard line. Simpson under center. Looking to scramble out, now throws it. No. Good break for Alabama, as number 4 for the Bulldogs had it right in his hands, but dropped the interception, which cannot do if you're Georgia, because Alabama can find ways to kill you like that. So the would-be interception dropped by Holden, number 4 Bolden, not Horton, of Georgia, gives Alabama 2nd and 10. Simpson in the shotgun, Miller to his right. Hands it off to Miller. Miller gets free from a few Georgia defenders, has about a 6-yard gain on the play, crossing midfield for the first time. No, sorry, it was not Miller that had the ball. It was Riley, number 28. 3rd and 5 for Alabama. First time either team has crossed midfield. With just under 11 minutes to go in the first quarter. Yeah, let me run through all the numbers. Simpson in the shotgun. Looks like he might be trying to change the play. He's got to hurry up and get the snap off. 5, 4, 3, 2, snaps it just before it gets to 0. Simpson, wide open. Horton on the play. more than enough for the first down for Alabama. That puts Alabama deep in the Georgia territory here on the first drive of the game for Alabama. Remember, Georgia stalled out completely other than a 2-yard gain on first down on their first drive. We talked about mistakes killing Alabama, but so far it's been mistakes killing Georgia, unable to get to Simpson when he's all alone. And then Bolden dropped the interception, which gave Alabama a new life. Alabama deep in the Georgia territory. Somebody just took the first time out of the game, but I don't remember who it was. So that's going to bring it to a commercial break. No score so far in the game, but Alabama has the ball at Georgia's 30-yard line with about 10 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Meanwhile, on the other TV, Penn State versus Oregon just started. So yes, I will keep an eye on that one, although when the Georgia versus Alabama game is on, that will be the only game I'm commentating on, even though I will keep the other game in the corner of my eyes. Penn State with the ball as more very weird Fansville commercials coming on in the Alabama-Georgia game. Trying to find some other notable scores. Tennessee versus Mississippi State, update on that game, has gone into overtime as it goes into the end of regulation with the score tied 34-34. That is the Tennessee versus Mississippi State game. So, wait a minute. I almost said second week in a row Tennessee went into overtime, but I forgot they weren't on a bye week last week. Kentucky 6, South Carolina 0. Missouri 7, UMass 0. And, of course, all the other games that happened today, notable in the SEC that we already talked about at the beginning of the live stream. Let's look at, I'm going to see if I can find some other notable games that are happening right now. Might help if I put it on top 25. But apparently that option disappeared. Oh, wait, there it is. No, other notable scores happening in the top 25. Of course, Oregon versus Penn State 0-0. That game started right around the same time Alabama, Georgia did. Ohio State gets the victory over Washington 24-6. Indiana with a narrow win over Iowa 20-15. Illinois with the upset over USC 34-24, 34-32, I should say. And then, of course, last night, Virginia 46, Florida State 38, and Arizona State 27, TCU 24. Upsets happening everywhere in college football so far. Meanwhile, we come back to action here in the Alabama versus Georgia game. Ryan Williams, who was the difference maker in this game last year, has had some really weird drops so far in the season. He had a notorious drop in the Florida State game, then a drop in the Wisconsin game, and then earlier dropped a wide open pass that would have given Alabama a touchdown. Here we are, Alabama at the Georgia 23-yard line. Simpson under center. 9:53 left in the first quarter. Ball was snapped, but a flag flew. So it looks like it's a false start against Bama, and it is a false start against Alabama. Of course, the SEC officiating crew on call for this one. False start number 74, Proctor, is called for the false start. So that's going to back Alabama up 5 to about the 27-yard line of Georgia. 1st and 15 for Alabama. Simpson, again, under center here. Miller behind him in the backfield. Bernard in motion. Going to hand it off to Miller, who had a little bit of room, but the hole closed up quickly. Gets only about a gain of 2, maybe 3 if he's lucky. Brings up second and about 12 for the Crimson Tide. Hole looked like it was going to open up, but very quickly closed. That's how good Georgia is at closing up any hole that opens up on their offensive line. Now Simpson back into the shotgun. All alone in the backfield. Flips out to Bernard. First time we've heard his name all game. Bernard has some room, has the first down before he's finally pushed out of bounds right around the 8-yard line of the Bulldogs. First time all game we've heard from Bernard, and it's a big one. He's been the key player so far for Alabama in this season. And if he was not brought down from behind there, probably would have been a touchdown for Alabama. Clock ticks below 9 minutes to go in the first quarter. Simpson under center. Hands it off to Miller. Miller gets to the line of scrimmage +2 before he's dragged down by number 6 of the Bulldogs. Brings up second and goal for Alabama from the Georgia 6-yard line. 12 plays so far on the drive. 6 of them rushes, 6 of them passes for Alabama. Alabama, one drive has 73 yards as opposed to Georgia, who also has one drive, only has 2 yards. Crowd getting really excited here. Georgia trying to sub out some players. This might be the time to call it snap here, but Alabama in the confusion has to call a timeout, already having used 2 timeouts with less as the clock ticks below 8 minutes in the first quarter. So we're going to go to yet another commercial break. Timeout, 7:49 left to go in the first quarter. No team has scored yet, but Alabama knocking on the door at Georgia's 6-yard line. Meanwhile, Oregon's quarterback gets him a first down. Still no score in the Oregon-Penn State game. That game has about 5:57 left to go in the first quarter. Again, Nick Saban and Deion Sanders in an Aflac commercial. So a commercial break here. Meanwhile, in the Oregon game, still 0-0, clock ticking below 4:30 left to go in the first quarter of Penn State, Oregon. Way too many commercials. back to the footage here in the Alabama-Georgia game. Going to be 2nd and goal. Alabama has the ball at Georgia's 6-yard line. Simpson in the shotgun. Miller behind him. Horton in motion. Simpson faked the handoff to Miller, tried to throw it out to Horton, but he falls down and fails to catch the ball. It's going to be 3rd and goal for Alabama from the Georgia 6-yard line. Looked like they were going to try to fool the Georgia defense, but Georgia was not fooled at all. And now on 3rd down, the Georgia crowd continues to be really loud and might be hampering Alabama at this point, deep in the red zone with all the Georgia fans in that direction. 3rd and goal. Simpson in shotgun. Miller to the left. Looks to throw. Has Menard. Touchdown, Alabama. So Alabama scores first to take the lead here against Georgia. A 75-yard drive chews a lot of time off the clock, and it wraps up with Simpson throwing a 6-yard touchdown pass to Menard to put Alabama up 7-0, pending the extra point here against Georgia. Extra point about to be kicked. 31 for Alabama is the kicker. Kicks, and it is good. So it's 7:41 left to go in the first quarter. The score is Alabama 7, Georgia 0. Alabama good at getting leads, but can they hold on to the lead is going to be the big story. Alabama did this exact same thing last year against Georgia when they played. They got up to a lead, actually had a 28-0 lead at one point in the game, but then ended up but Georgia came all the way back, and Alabama needed that infamous miracle play from Ryan Williams to get the win. Let's see if Alabama can actually hold on to the lead here. Good sign is that Alabama actually held Georgia to not even a first down in Georgia's first drive, which is something they did not do against the other teams. Jeremy Menard with his 4th touchdown this season so far. He had 2 of them against Wisconsin. Kickoff is in the air, and it's actually going to be returned, but he's going to be tracked down from behind right around his own 15-yard line, which is going to be where the Bulldogs take over. Stockton trotting out again for Georgia's 2nd offensive drive. The first one went absolutely nowhere as Georgia only managed to get 2 yards on the play. Score officially has gone final. Tennessee comes back to beat Mississippi State 41-34 in overtime. Stockton looking to throw somewhere. Gets rid of it to number 8 of the Bulldogs, who takes it to about an 8-yard gain to bring up 2nd and 2 for the Bulldogs. There's a flag on the play. An eligible man downfield against the Bulldogs. Hold on, that's going to back up the Bulldogs here about 5 yards on the play. As instead of the 8-yard gain, it's going to be moving backwards 5 yards. So that play, almost as if it never happened, as Georgia's going to be backed up 5 yards, brings up 1st and 15 for the Bulldogs from around their own 10-yard line. Stockton in shotgun with a running back to his left, hands it off. He's got a little bit of running room before he has the first down. He's going to be tackled right around the Georgia 33-yard line. First down, Bulldogs. Number 3 was on the run for Georgia as a whole, opened quickly, and he was able to get right through it. Stockton fakes a toss. Incomplete pass on first down. Brings up 2nd and 10. Georgia with a little bit of momentum, but Alabama tipped right there and then caught briefly by Delp, but then he drops it on contact with the Alabama player. Brings up 2nd and 10 for the Bulldogs. Stockton in the shotgun, 11 in motion for Georgia. Hands it off to the running back, who this time gets only about a 5-yard gain. So we're going to see Georgia have 3rd and 5 here coming up with 6.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter and down 7-0. Some subbing out action coming for Georgia. Stockton in the shotgun. Now he's going to be by himself, but then the running back comes back. I don't know if they were trying to fool or if he moved incorrectly. Stockton fires it out. Incomplete. Timing was off there between Stockton and the receiver. So Georgia, for the second time this game, is going to be punting. Georgia had a brief hope spot on that drive with 2 consecutive first downs, but is going to end up being turned away again. As for the second time in as many drives, Georgia is forced to punt. 92. That's got to be the thickest looking punter I've seen. Brett Thorson is his name. He punts it. Beautiful looking punt, as Alabama is going to take possession of the ball right around their own 18-yard line when the game resumes. Commercial break up here in the game with about 6 minutes left to go in the first quarter. The score is Alabama 7, Georgia 0. I am going to take a timeout and get a refresher on my beverage. I'll be back before the next drive starts. All right, I'm back as we are still at commercial break. Meanwhile, in the Penn State-Oregon game, the clock ticks to about 1.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Still no score between Penn State and Oregon. If you're just joining, Georgia has had 2 drives so far, both of which came up empty. Alabama has had 1 drive, which they ended up scoring the touchdown on. So the score currently, with about 6 minutes left to go in the first quarter, Alabama 7, Georgia 0. While we're at it, I do currently plan to stream the Vanderbilt game, but that's also going to depend on a lot of outside factors that are going on simultaneously. But as of right now, I do plan to stream next week at 3:30 for the Vanderbilt game. Nowhere to go for Penn State on that play there, as ESPN advertising their new over-the-top streaming service thing with all the sports that they do. I'm actually surprised. If you've seen that advertisement before that I'm talking about, the one thing they didn't mention is their partnership with WWE for all the WWE Premium Live events. Kentucky and South Carolina tied 7-7 so far. And that's really the only other notable score to mention. No, wait, actually, Missouri in a tighter game that we thought they could possibly be in against UMass. As in the second quarter, that game is 14-6, Missouri in the lead. Meanwhile, back to action in Alabama, Georgia. Simpson in shotgun, Miller to his right, Bernard in motion. Simpson takes the snap, hands it off to Miller, who is going to get about 3 yards on the play there. It'll be 2nd and 7 for Alabama. Clock has ticked below 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. 2nd down and 7 for Alabama. Simpson in shotgun with a bunch of men in motion here. Now he's going to be by himself in the shotgun. Takes the snap, fires it out. Intended for Bernard, but Bernard's going to drop it. It'll be 3rd and 7 for Alabama. As we mentioned before, Miller, in his first game back since his collarbone injury before the season started, he is wearing custom protective padding to protect himself following the injury, kind of like how people after concussions, they're forced to wear that new kind of helmet padding design on top of the helmet. Forget what it's called, but anyway, Simpson in shotgun, Miller to his left. We assume it might be a passing play here on 3rd and long. Simpson in shotgun looking to throw. Throws it out to number 80, Cuevas, who gets the first down past the 30-yard line. And it's going to be 1st and 10 for Alabama at around their own 33-yard line. Beautiful pass there. Threw it right where he needed to get it to Cuevas. Had some men pressuring him, but he's manages to avoid both of them and gets the first down on this 3rd down for Alabama. 1st and 10 for Alabama. Clock has ticked below 5 minutes to go in the first quarter for Alabama, Georgia. Simpson 5 of 5 in the shotgun. He hands it off to Bernard. Bernard looked like he was going to try to go for some weird trickery pass, but instead he's going to be tackled for about a 5-yard loss on the play. Bring up about 2nd and 15 for Alabama. Clock ticking below 4:30 to go in the first quarter. Bama with plenty of time to go here. 2nd and 16 here from right around their own 27-yard line, if I were to guess. Georgia fans absolutely rocking in Sanford Stadium. So far, it's not given to Alabama. But so far, indications that they are. Simpson takes the snap, gets it out to number 28, who's got some room. Gets past the original line of scrimmage and an additional 4 yards before he's knocked down. That'll bring up 3rd and about 6 for Alabama to go as the clock has ticked below 3.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Meanwhile, Penn State versus Oregon has reached the second quarter with still no score to go in the game. Alabama 5 of 5 on 3rd down. Georgia 0 and 2 on 3rd down. Simpson in the shotgun. Simpson briefly looked like he was trying to do something. Alabama now forced to take its 3rd and final timeout of the half in the first quarter. So Alabama will have to play the rest of the first half without any timeouts. Not a good sign if you're Alabama. You do have the lead here and have been moving the ball a lot better than Georgia has. But if you find yourself in a slugfest with Georgia, you may need timeouts like that. So to use them all in the first quarter, not a good sign for Alabama. You probably would have wanted to save your timeouts for if you're in a slugfest with Georgia towards the end of the second half. Clock barely above 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. 3rd and 6 here for Alabama. Simpson in the shotgun, Miller to his right. Georgia trying some shuffling stuff. Simpson went up to the center. Then he goes back in the shotgun. Snap. Simpson looking for a receiver, fires it to number 2, Ryan Williams, who gets just enough for the first down, as that is going to put Alabama of 6-6, or 6-4-6, I should say, on third down to bring Alabama to another first down. Bama so far controlling the clock and the game so far here against Georgia. First and 10, Alabama at their own 43-yard line. Simpson in the shotgun. Miller went into a wide receiver. Now Bernard goes out to the right of Simpson. Gets it out to Bernard, but only for, well, actually he escaped the defender and then fell forwards for a few yards for about a 6-yard gain for Bernard there on the play for first down. Brings up second down and 5 for Alabama. Simpson in the shotgun. Miller to his left. Simpson takes the snap, hands it off to Miller. And Miller's going to get about a 4-yard play. Brings up third and about 1.5 yards for Alabama. Alabama just converted on 3rd and 6. Now they're facing third and about 1.5 yards. Officially 3rd and 2, although you can really say it's about third and 1.5 yards for Alabama. Simpson alone in the shotgun. Clock has ticked below 1.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter here in Alabama, Georgia. Hands it off to Bernard. Bernard's going to get the first down and some. Crosses the 40-yard line before he's knocked out of bounds at around the Georgia 38-yard line. First down, Alabama, as the clock is really starting to tick on this first quarter. Remember, the clock only stops when the player goes out of bounds if it's less than 2 minutes to go in either half. So the clock is still ticking even though Bernard got knocked out of bounds. Simpson now under center here. Looking to pass as Simpson launches a deep pass to number 17, Brooks, who gets way more than enough for the first down. Actually puts Alabama in the red zone for the second time tonight against Georgia. Let's see if Alabama ends up getting a playoff before the end of the half. Hands it off to Miller. Shakes free of one tackler, but then ends up being stuffed from behind by a bunch of Georgia players for only about a 5-yard gain. And that is going to take us to the end of the first quarter. So at the end of the first quarter, score is Alabama 7, Georgia 0. Sorry about that. Excuse me. End of the first quarter, Alabama 7, Georgia 0. Alabama fans, if you're watching the stream, make some noise for your Crimson Tide. Because your Crimson Tide are 7-0 and now are threatening again to score here on Georgia to make it a 2-score game early in the game. Now, Bama, do not, under any circumstance, let your foot off the gas here. You have the momentum. You are driving here. You look like you're about to go up 14-0. Your defense has looked well against Georgia on both of their 2 drives so far. But this is Georgia we're talking about. They can come from behind in a snap and take the game away from you. Keep your foot on the gas. And this Georgia crowd's going to do everything they possibly can to take the momentum away from you. Don't let them do it. You're Alabama. You know how to play in tough environments. Keep it going. Cheers to that first half. Again, thank you to the Code Company for these custom-made koozies. Damn, I can't believe we've already been on stream for over an hour, but the game has has just gotten to the second quarter here in Alabama versus Georgia. Meanwhile, Penn State finally scored. It's 3-0 Penn State in the Penn State-Oregon game with about 12 minutes left to go in the second quarter of that game. Alabama versus Georgia still at commercial after going to the second quarter. Back to the action here. Alabama so far 147 yards compared to Georgia with only 31 yards. Second down and about 5 for Alabama as we start the second quarter. Hands it off to Miller, and he's going to get probably about 4 yards on the carry for Miller. That is going to bring up third down and about 2 for the Crimson Tide. Officially rolled 3rd and 3. Simpson in the shotgun, Miller to his left. Miller takes the handoff. He's going to get free, has the first down and some, gets to about the 5-yard line before he's knocked out of bounds. First and goal for the Crimson Tide. Second time so far, Alabama has been in a goal and go-to-go situation. Simpson under center, first and goal here. Looking to throw here, throws it. Number 1, Horton was all alone in the end zone. Touchdown, Bama! Horton, Isaiah Horton, 6-yard touchdown from Simpson to Horton, and that, pending the extra point, is going to put Alabama up over the Bulldogs 14-0. Alabama with all the momentum in the world here against Georgia. Here, we got the extra point pending. 14 plays, 83 yards for Alabama. Extra point is good. 14:01 left to go in the first half. The score, Alabama 14, Georgia 0. Simpson responsible for both TDs so far. One to Jeremy Bernard, the other to Isaiah Horton. As Alabama lighting into Georgia 14-0 in Athens, Georgia. Keep your foot on the gas, Bama. Do not let up. We've seen Georgia kill so many opponents when they've been behind. So don't let your foot off the gas. Do not give Georgia the opportunity to come back in this game. Just keep putting it down their throat. Meanwhile, in the Oregon-Penn State game, Oregon just missed a big field goal. So Penn State remains up 3-0. And of course, in this game, Alabama 14, Georgia 0. This feels good so far, but you got to remember who we are facing. Georgia has the ability to come back. They've done it so many times under Kirby Smart. Alabama's got to play, no pun intended, they got to play smart football and keep Georgia from coming back. Georgia nearly did it last year, and if Alabama lets their foot off the gas, it's going to happen again. Let me say hi to somebody real quick. Commercial break here in the Georgia versus Alabama game. Actually, both Penn State, Oregon, and Alabama, Georgia are at commercial breaks. Excuse me, I just burped on stream. Action about to come back here in the Georgia versus Alabama game. Alabama up 14-0 with 14:01. Would have been really punny if it was 14 even. Kickoff here is in the air, and this one is going to go out the back of the end zone, meaning Georgia will start their third drive of the game from their own 25-yard line. Georgia stalled out on both of their first two drives so far, looking to get some momentum. Alabama looking to continue to stop Georgia from getting any momentum. Stockton has looked so far pretty stagnant other than one completed pass. Stockton in shotgun with a running back to his right, number one in motion for Georgia. Gets it out to the number one in the flat, and he is going to be shoved out of bounds, but not before gaining about 8 yards for the Bulldogs. Second and about 1 or 2 as the clock has ticked below 14 minutes to go in the first half. Second down for the Bulldogs. Stockton under center. Stands up for a second, but then goes back under center. Hands it off to the running back, number 33 on the play, who has a little bit of room. And a big hole opened up there before he is finally pushed out of bounds right around the Alabama 35-yard line. First time all night that Georgia has found itself in Alabama territory. Biggest play of the game so far for Georgia. Might even be the biggest play for any team so far in the game. Right around the Alabama 38-yard line. Stockton in the shotgun with a running back to his left. By himself, looks for a Georgia player, and he's all by himself. Touchdown, Georgia. Number 8 on the play for Georgia. And that is going to put Georgia on the board for the first time. Colby Young gets the 38-yard reception for the Bulldogs. As there goes the shutout, which pinning the extra point will make it 14-7. Bama still has the lead Georgia would presumably still have to score twice, or still have to score again to get back and tie it. But still, that's going to shake up Alabama's confidence a little bit, especially on defense. Extra point good. So it's going to be 14-7 Georgia. Quick 3-play drive for Georgia results in the first points of the game for the Bulldogs. As we're going to go to yet another commercial break, score 14-7. What is good for the Alabama offense is that the Georgia defense is tired. So the fact that their offense only scored in 3 plays would leave Georgia defense kind of tired on that play. So could Alabama potentially take advantage of how short that drive was? Because the longer the Georgia defense is on the field, having to sustain these long sustained drives by Alabama, it bodes less and less well for the Georgia defense. Could this be potentially the strategy Alabama has? Keep their defense on the field as little as possible while keeping their offense on the field as long as possible to tire out the Georgia defense. $7.50 left to go in the Penn State-Oregon game. That one is still 3-0. A shockingly low-scoring game in Penn State versus Oregon. Here we go back to the feed here on the Alabama-Georgia game. Alabama looking really good so far up until that previous drive where they surrendered a deep touchdown to Georgia. Uncharacteristically bad pass defense for Alabama on that play, on that drive there. Let's see how the Alabama offense responds here as the kickoff is in the air and is going to go out of the back of the end zone for a touchback, and Alabama will take the ball back over with 12:48 left to go in the first half at their own 25-yard line. This is going to be the third drive of the game for Alabama, as both teams are going to be at 3 drives so far. Simpson 10 of 15 with 117 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus the 1 rush he had for 10 yards. First down and 10. Simpson under center. Riley in the backfield at running back, number 28. Bernard in the motion. Simpson looking to throw. Throws it out to Riley. A very short pass, but he's got some room. Has some room. Down the sideline. Gets past midfield. And that's going to put Alabama in Georgia territory. Beautiful play there. Hole opened up really big, managed to evade multiple Georgia defenders there. And one play, Alabama is past midfield into Georgia territory. 1st and 10, Alabama, as the clock is nearing 12 minutes left to go in the first half. Simpson in shotgun, Bernard in motion. Simpson just barely got the snap off, flips it out to Bernard. Bernard had a little bit of room before he's ran out and gets only about a 3-yard gain there. Makes it about 2nd and 7 for the Crimson Tide. Simpson in the shotgun, Riley to his right. Hands it off to Riley. Barely anywhere to go. Maybe a yard gain for Riley, which is going to bring up about 3rd and 6 for Alabama. Alabama has yet to be stopped on a 3rd down this game. See if they can continue that streak here coming up on this play. Simpson alone in the shotgun. Georgia looks like it's trying to adjust to something. Simpson has plenty of time to throw. Throws it out. Incomplete. Alabama, for the first time, stopped on 3rd down. That's going to bring up 4th and 7. And, yep, it's a punting for Alabama. But the good news is that they can pin Georgia really deep back if they punt this ball the right way. Punt is in the air. Blake Dowd, the punter for Alabama. And beautiful looking punt. Fair caught. That is going to bring Georgia almost as if they took a touchback. Doubleheader on Monday Night Football. Jets, Dolphins, and Bengals, Broncos. Georgia now has their 4th drive of the game, looking to respond to the first time so far Alabama's been stopped. Ball at the Georgia 7-yard line, so I was wrong there. It doesn't act as if it were a touchback. Georgia tried to run, but it was stuffed for maybe a 2-yard gain, although it looked more like a 1-yard gain. Frazier, number 3 for the Bulldogs on the carry. Second and 8 officially for the Bulldogs. Stockton in the shotgun. Looks like he's changing the play a bit. Now he goes back into the shotgun. Still with Frazier. Hands it off to Frazier. And fumble on the play. If he wasn't down, then it's Alabama football. Indication so far is that it is. And what a break for Alabama if Georgia was, in fact, not down when the ball came out. And Georgia is not even contesting it. So unless Georgia didn't see something that's that came out way before he hit the ground. So Alabama gets the ball way into Georgia territory with a big opportunity to go back up by 2 possessions, 2 plays, and it's all over for Georgia on that drive. Ball on the Georgia 11-yard line for Alabama. Simpson under center. Bernard in the backfield with Simpson under center. Simpson hands it off to Miller. Miller gets about a 3-yard gain. Be second and about 7 for Alabama. Clock has ticked we have officially less than 10 minutes to go in the first half here. Now Simpson in the shotgun with Miller to his left. Waiting on the snap. Now he gets it. Hands it off again to Miller. Miller tries to get some yards. Maybe gets about 4. Bring up about a third and about 3 for Alabama. Clock ticking below 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. 3rd and 5 officially for Alabama. Just shy of Georgia's 5-yard line. Alabama technically can get the first down without a touchdown here. Simpson, alone in the shotgun, throws it. Intended for Bernard, incomplete. No flag on the play. That's going to bring up 4th and about 5 for Alabama. What do you do here? Looks... If you're watching on the TV, I'll let you be the judge on if that should have been pass interference or not. Meanwhile, Alabama is going to settle for a field goal. Connor Talty, the field goal kicker, number 31 for Alabama. 3 of 4 so far in his young career at Alabama. Snap, hold, kick right down the middle. So Alabama gets a field goal, goes up by 10. Score, Alabama 17, Georgia 7. Georgia fumbled deep in their own territory, giving Alabama possession, but all Alabama can do is get a field goal here. They are going to be debating for a long time on whether or not that should have been pass interference or not. Looked to me like it might have been, but maybe there might have been some tugging action by Bernard we didn't see, so they just said let him play. But anyway, Alabama does get points out of it and is up by 2 possessions, 17-7. And remember, if Alabama can stop Georgia on their upcoming drive, it's an opportunity for Alabama to double dip because Alabama does get the ball to start the second half. Remember, Georgia got the ball to start the game, so Alabama will get the ball to start the second half. So if Alabama can stop Georgia, get some potential to do some really major damage against Georgia and really crank up the pressure on the Bulldogs. Meanwhile, we finally got another score in the Penn State versus Oregon game, as that one has gotten back to tied up 3-3. Of course, this game 17-7. If you're just tuning in, Alabama ahead of Georgia. We've seen some major upsets so far in football, but this one might be the biggest one. If Alabama can hang on and beat Georgia, might be the biggest upset so far in the year. So a commercial break here for Alabama, Georgia. See if I can find some notable scores going on right now. Iowa State 22, Arizona 7. That is at halftime. Of course, Oregon and Penn State tied 3-3. Around the SEC, Missouri 21, UMass 6. South Carolina 21, Kentucky 10. Meanwhile, back to the action here in the Alabama-Georgia game, set for kickoff. Kickoff is in the air. And yet another kickoff through the back of the end zone, as that is going to make Georgia go and start this drive from their own 25-yard line. Gunnar Stockton has his jersey retired at his high school. Must have been a really good player in high school. 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs. Stockton in the shotgun with, I was trying to see his last name on the jersey, but I couldn't see it in time for the camera to pan out. But number 33 behind Stockton in the shotgun, hands it off to number 1, who is going to be he got tripped up way behind the line for a loss of about 6 on the play. Alabama defense so far appearing to be fired up ever since allowing that touchdown. As loss about 6 yards brings up 2nd and 16 for the Bulldogs. Clock ticking to below 8 minutes left to go in the first half. Stockton in the shotgun. Delp in motion. Stockton looks to throw. He gets it to number 8 and has enough for the first down before being tackled right at the sticks. 1st and 10 Bulldogs. Good pass there by Stockton. That's going to bring up 1st and 10. Stockton in a shotgun, running back behind him. Now goes back up to the line to do something. Then he goes back into the shotgun. Hands it off, and that run gets about 3 yards on the play there. Bring up about 2nd and 7 for the Bulldogs. Normally, I'm surprised. Normally, it's the run defense that gives Alabama trouble. But Alabama's run defense has been on point, and now it's the pass defense that's starting to let Alabama down. Let's see if it can correct itself. Keenan, number 96, on the stop for Alabama. 2nd and 6 for the Bulldogs. Stockton in the shotgun, running back to his right. Looking to throw, throws it out, and he has no, that's not Delp. It's number 16, and gets the first down again. 2nd first down for Georgia on the drive, both of them coming on 2nd downs. Clock ticking to below 6.5 minutes left to go in the first half. McCray, number 2, is the running back in the backfield, as Stockton is in shotgun. Alabama got a lot more time of possession so far than Georgia. Stockton is going to be sacked. He's sacked for a 2-yard loss. He tried to get free and run it himself, but he's stopped for a 2-yard loss on the play. First time all game, Stockton has been sacked. Going to be 2nd and about 12 for Georgia. 94 got the sack for Alabama there, managing to get off his block just in time to get Stockton for the sack. 2nd and 12, Stockton takes the snap, hands it off to his running back, who is going to have enough for the first down and some, and he's got a lot of room before he's finally pulled down at the Alabama 10-yard line. 1st and 10 for Georgia. Alabama really needs to settle down here. They're in danger of letting Georgia get into the lead before we even get to the second half. Alabama really needs to find a way to keep Georgia out of the end zone here and then possibly get points on their next drive. have some momentum. Good news is Alabama will probably get 2 more drives before Georgia touches the ball next, as that play gets Georgia to around the 5-yard line of Alabama, bringing up 2nd and goal. Alabama has had impeccable red zone defense so far this year. Let's see if they can hold it up here. Phone went off. I thought a message was coming in, but it was just something random. Stockton hands it off to number 2, who is going to be stopped at around the 3-yard line. 3rd and goal for the Bulldogs. If Alabama can hold off Georgia here or at least hold them to a field goal, that means Alabama's going to have all the momentum in the world, because they will have the ball to end the first half and to begin the second half. But if they can't hold Georgia, then that puts the momentum in Georgia's side. Stockton in the shotgun with McCray to his right. Hands it off to McCray. He is going to be stopped. He is stopped. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage. 4th and goal. We'll see what Georgia elects to do here. Kirby Smart's been known to be aggressive in these situations, although in this game he might just elect to take the points. And he's going to leave the offense on the field here. Stockton in the shotgun. Stockton looking to throw, gets it out, and he did not get it. He did not get it. Alabama manages to stop Georgia, but there's a flag. There is a flag on the play. There's a flag on the play. Holding against Alabama. There was something declined there. Something got declined. What was that? DeBoer is animated about something. Can't really tell what that was there. They're going to get number 2 on the Alabama defense. Inadvertently tricked his own guy, too. 1st and 10 for Georgia after looking dead in the water. He's going to be tried to run it, but he's going to lose 2 yards instead, bringing up 2nd and goal for Georgia. Would not be surprised at any moment if Stockton just launches it to the end zone, as Georgia has a player down. Number 56, Morris, is down for the Bulldogs. Tough injury. Might be, looks like he's an offensive lineman. That's probably going to bring it to yet another break here. Don't know what's going on here. Micah Morris is the Georgia player down on the field. He's being helped up. Gets helped up. Looking on the replay to see what might have happened. All I can see is him falling. Might have been a knee injury, the way he landed on his knee there. He's limping off the field with help from a Georgia trainer. Good sign he's able to walk. Meanwhile, 2nd and goal here for the Bulldogs after that about 2-yard loss on the play. We're assuming this is, since Georgia already went for it on 4th down, that this is 4th down territory for the Bulldogs. Georgia comes back. Both teams come back out on the field after the injury timeout. Second down and goal for the Bulldogs. Just above 2.5 minutes left to go in the second quarter for Alabama. Clock ticking. Remember that there is such thing as a 2-minute timeout in college football, so the clock will automatically stop when it gets to 2 minutes, unless a play is in progress. Georgia just walks basically into the end zone. Number 33 on the carry, Chauncey Bowens with a 2-yard touchdown for Georgia, and that is going to make it a 3-point ball game. A lot of deja vu here for Alabama. Alabama hot to start off the first quarter, but the second quarter has been all Georgia, although they still trail by 3 minutes, and the 2-minute timeout hasn't even happened yet. An extra point good for Georgia makes it 17-14 with 2 minutes and 8 seconds left to go in the first half. Exciting game so far, but Alabama's defense really needs to settle itself down. Would have had Georgia stopped if they didn't commit that holding penalty. If anybody can find a way to settle themselves down and stop Georgia's momentum, it is Alabama. But they are going to have to do so in order to find themselves losing the lead before halftime. Bama will get the ball, we assume, with just over 2 minutes left to go in the game, in the second half. Alabama will also get the ball to start the second half. So if Alabama can score on both of them without Georgia touching the ball again, that could Alabama, by the next time Georgia touches the ball, could have a 17-point lead, but everything has to go right for Alabama there. They can't get the ball back to Georgia before they have to score twice, I should say. Simpson trotting back onto the field, looking to get something going for Alabama before the half. Had 147 yards total in the first quarter, but only has 50 here in the second quarter. $12 of 19 so far with 2 touchdowns and 146 yards for Ty Simpson, who has basically been the star of the show and the biggest bright spot for Alabama so far in the game. Simpson in the shotgun, Jam Miller out to the right for Alabama. Hands it off to Miller. Miller tries to spin himself free, but only gets about a 2-yard gain, making it about 2nd and 8 for Alabama. And that is going to bring us to the 2-minute timeout for Alabama. So with 2 minutes left to go in the second quarter, we have it Alabama 17, Georgia 14. As we are at yet another commercial. Penn State versus Oregon just went to halftime. Didn't see what the score was yet for that game, though. If you are not on the edge of your seat in this game, I don't know, you might need to question your college football fanhood in this game. A few upsets happening today so far. Ole Miss getting the upset over LSU. We'll see if another upset can happen in this game as Alabama looks to defeat Georgia here in this game. Alabama was looking really good to start the game. It was up 14-0 at one point, but here we are. Alabama only up 3 with 2 minutes left to go in the second quarter, and having the ball on, I'm assuming, around 2nd and 8 for the Crimson Tide. Still at a commercial break here in the Georgia versus Alabama game. Again, Bama will have the ball when the second half starts. They do have the ball here at the end of the first half, looking to potentially double up here if they can score on this drive, and then when the second half starts, score on the first drive of that half. 2nd and 8 here for the Crimson Tide. Simpson is alone in the shotgun. Simpson takes the snap. Then he hands it off on a trickery play to Ryan Williams. Gets near the first down, but I don't think he exactly got the first down. If he stops short, this might be the good time here for a quarterback sneak, maybe even a tush push, although they do give him the first down. First down of the game since the last time Alabama scored a touchdown. Or I should say the first down for Alabama since the last time they scored a touchdown. Probably even all second quarter. Clock stopping. I forgot the clock stops temporarily for the first downs to move the chains. Unless there's something else they're stopping the clock for. Are they replaying it to see the spot of the ball before he went out of bounds? Oh, he's short. He's short. So they're gonna move the chains back here. And I'm assuming Alabama will try to just run it up the middle to get the first down and try to chew some clock off before striking against Georgia to make it another 2-score game. Ideally, you want to get a touchdown, but if you can get a field goal here, that's good, especially if you could get a touchdown on the next drive and make it a 2-score game. Because against Georgia, you take every point you can get because that could be the difference between the game. But ideally, you do want a touchdown here. As here comes the official ruling. I'm going to mute this again. Oh, wait, I didn't have time to mute it. As call is overturned, they're going to move the spot back and give Alabama 3rd and 1. 3rd and 1 for Alabama with 1:54 left to go in the first half. Alabama 8 of 10 on 3rd down all game. 3rd and 1 here for Alabama. We assume they're either going to go with a run up the middle, possibly even a tush push. I don't know if that's even allowed in college football, but if it were allowed, I'd imagine they go for a tush push. Bernard, with a little bit of trickery, gets it to number 1, Horton, who has the first down. Now we'll have the first down for Alabama in the second quarter. Clock will stop temporarily as it is inside 2 minutes. They will stop the clock to move the chains. as now it's ticking again. Simpson in the shotgun. Miller is, well, there is a running back. I don't know if it's Miller. To his left, takes the snap, looking to throw. Man, just barely manages to escape pressure, fires it down the field. I think that's Williams who did. Yes, it is Williams who caught it. Gets it into Georgia territory, past the 45-yard line. First and 10 at the 44-yard line of Georgia. Simpson in the shotgun looking to throw here. Barely gets it off as he's forced to just fire it. Was looking for Williams, but he was well covered. Second and 10 for the Crimson Tide. As we have been on stream for almost 2 hours and we haven't even gotten to the second quarter. I'm sorry, the second half yet. .103 left to go in the second quarter. Simpson in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Throws it to number 17. I think that's Brooks. Oh, shakes himself free. Gets inside the 25-yard line of the Bulldogs. Well in the field goal range. That was 17. Brooks on a short pass that looks like it was going nowhere, but spun himself free just in time. Clock stopping as he was pushed out of bounds. So the clock, and being within 2 minutes, they're going to call. Well, the clock was already stopped. Georgia going to call a timeout. I think they wanted to sub out their personnel there, but we're having difficulty doing so. So they decided to take their timeout. First timeout of the game for Georgia. Alabama waking up their offense. Their offense had been dead for the past 2 drives, but now they're waking up inside the Georgia 25-yard line here with less than a minute to go in the first half. An opportunity to score here, and potentially, since Alabama does get the ball to start the second half, potentially to double dip, which could be very crucial here. Could be very crucial to double dip here. Could really put Georgia on the ropes just to before they even get the ball for the first time in the second half. Potential to be up by 17 by the time the first time by the next time Georgia touches the ball. Meanwhile, here we are, first and 10 for Alabama. Simpson 15 of 23 with 192 yards so far tonight. Ball at the 23-yard line, first and 10. Simpson alone. No, he does have a running back with him in the shotgun. Barely escapes pressure. Throws the ball, completed to a guy whose number I could not see there. It was Bernard he completed to, but the flag is on the play. See who it's against. Might be a holding against Alabama. Alabama's offense just holding against Georgia. I did not see where that potential holding could have happened. Oh, number 4 completely altered. Well, actually 2 holdings against Georgia there. Somebody held number 17, Brooks, and the other person held Ryan Williams. So that's going to give Alabama another first down on the play by virtue of a penalty. Georgia not really known for being undisciplined, but they committed a crucial error there as Alabama gets another first down by virtue of the penalty there. Puts Alabama inside the Georgia 15. Simpson alone in shotgun as the play is whistled dead for something. Didn't see a flag, but it got whistled. Georgia took its second timeout of the half. I assume if Alabama was to score with time left in the game, in the half, that Georgia would want the ball and have some time to possibly, even if they could only get a field goal, score before the half is over and avoid a situation where Alabama could go up by 17 before Georgia touches the ball in the second half. Right now it's 17-14, Alabama knocking on the door. I love how I just saw an ESPN headline that said "Advantage Dad," and it's referring to Lane Kiffin and the fact that it was made public that one of the players on that his son, I think, was dating no, it was his daughter dating an LSU player, but Ole Miss won that one. Meanwhile, here in this game, Simpson in the shotgun with Miller to his left. Now Miller moves up and it lines up as receiver. Simpson now lined up under center. Bernard in motion. Takes the snap, gets it out to a lineman. Oh, go big boy. First down. I didn't even know that was legal there. But Proctor takes the dump off pass from Simpson. Gets a first down right on the door of the end zone. Like just powered his way to about the 2-yard line of the Bulldogs. First and goal for Alabama with 39 seconds left to go in the first half. Simpson under center. Hands it up. No, he faked the handoff. Takes it himself. Simpson in the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. Simpson gets a running touchdown. So he's been responsible for all 3 of Alabama's touchdowns so far. He had the pass earlier to Bernard, the pass earlier to Horton, and now he takes it himself. And Alabama, pending the extra point, will be up 24-14 with just over 30 seconds left to go in the first half. Extra point pending right here. Extra point barely within the uprights, but it's good. So Alabama with 34 seconds left to go. A flag mysteriously flew for some reason. Didn't catch what that penalty was. But apparently it either got declined or it's being enforced on the kickoff because the referee just signaled that the extra point will stand. So either it's going to be enforced on the kickoff or it got declined or there was no penalty yet whatsoever. Don't know what the point of that flag was there. But Alabama now up 10 late in the first half. Better first half, really, than I expected from Alabama's offense. Defense did well, really, up until it started collapsing late in the second quarter. So Alabama does have some defensive issues that will need to work on going into the second half. They can start right here with 34 seconds. We assume Georgia will have, barring a turnover. Here. Proctor getting all the love here for that big man touchdown. Hey, I'm a big guy. I love it when the big men get the spotlight in football. But Simpson making it happen again. He's been responsible for all 3 touchdowns for Alabama. Kickoff is in the air, and this time it actually bounces off the ground. Number 1, I forget who number 1 is for Georgia, but he's going to take it to around the 12-yard line of the Bulldogs. Kickoff bounced off the ground, bounced really weirdly off the ground instead of going in the air. I guess maybe he tried to squib it to avoid a deep return and it bounced off the ground where nobody was at. So Georgia's going to start this drive with 34 seconds left to go in the first half, down 10 at their own 12-yard line. Set first and 10. Stockton hands it off and gets about 9 yards on the play. Georgia does have a timeout if they elect to use it here, and I think they will. No, it was a first down, so that's actually going to automatically stop the clock to move the chains. Now it's moving. 17, 16. Stockton took the snap out of the shotgun, and that is going to be a stop there. Will Georgia take its timeout to try and get one, a Hail Mary? And it looks like Georgia's just going to let it go into the second half. Alabama to receive to start the second half. When we come back from the halftime break, your score, the Crimson Tide 24, the Bulldogs 14. Alabama faithful, if you are watching this stream, make some noise for your Crimson Tide. All right, if you've watched my stream so far, you know how I do this. I record a short reaction to the first half. Then I not pause the stream. I'm going to keep it running, but I'm going to take a break and not really interact. Just take a break, potty break, refresh my beverage break. And I'll be back on the call when there's right when it's about to kick off for the second half. But here we go. I'm going to record it. You will get to see me make this reaction live here on the stream. Very solid first half from Alabama, with the exception of a few mistakes Alabama made on defense that cost Alabama some points. But solid first half, especially offensively from Alabama. Ty Simpson is on point right now for Alabama, throwing for 2 touchdowns, running for an additional 1. Receiving core looking very well, other than a Ryan Williams drop at one point in the first quarter. Running games looking okay, although they could do better. What does concern me so far, however, is towards the end of the second quarter, when Alabama started having trouble defending the pass against Stockton, hopefully Alabama can get it corrected quickly. But Alabama's offense is on power right now, up 10 so far against Georgia, and with an opportunity to potentially double dip because Alabama gets the ball to start the second half. Alabama looking solid, has a lead over Georgia, a 10-point lead over Georgia. You cannot let your foot off the gas, though. This is the Georgia Bulldogs. This is the number 5 ranked team in the nation. This is the team that is predicted to win the SEC. If you can't keep your foot off the gas, Georgia will find 1,000 ways to kill you. You got to keep your foot on the gas here, Alabama. Keep it going. Pound it right into the heart of their offense. Keep their defense on their feet with the passing game. And let's continue to play great football. Let's break the hearts of everybody at Athens who thought they could come in and watch Alabama just slide down and lose. Let's get this rolling. All right. I'm going to post that onto YouTube. Take a break. I'm muting the microphone. I'll see you when the second half of Alabama-Georgia starts. Again, at the half, your score is Alabama 24, Georgia 14. All right, here we go. Back from halftime. The first half kickoff goes back through the end zone. So Alabama, to start the second half, will have the ball at their own 25-yard line. Again, here we are. Sorry about that. Here we are. Alabama up 24-14. If Alabama can score on this drive, it'll make it a 3-possession game. Not necessarily put it away, but will definitely amp the pressure on Georgia. Here we go. Simpson in the shotgun. Miller to his right joins him. Flips it out to Miller, who is going to have a little bit of room. Gets the first down and some to about the Alabama 40-yard line. Miller looking impressive on that little flip screen there from Simpson. Gets about 15 on the play. Brings up another 1st and 10 for Alabama. Alabama offense picking up right where they left off right there. Simpson in the shotgun. Miller with him to the left. Number 87 in motion for Bama. Hands it off to Miller this time. He's going to get a little bit before a hole quickly closes as he gets about 3 yards on the play. Be about 2nd and 3 for Alabama. Clock below 14 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Simpson in the shotgun, joined to the right and left. Bernard to his right, Miller to the left. Hands it off to Bernard. Bernard has some room, gets the first down, gets past midfield, pushed out right around the 48-yard line of the Bulldogs. Moving the chains for another first down, Alabama. Alabama getting a little bit creative there. Ball spotted right at the 49-yard line of the Bulldogs. Simpson under center. Bernard in motion. Hands it off to Miller, who is going to get about 4, possibly 5 yards on the play. Brings up 2nd and 6 for Alabama. Riley, the backup running back, also in the game. Although I think they just took Miller out the game. Riley comes back to join Simpson, who's in the shotgun. Hands it off to Riley. Riley gains about 4, bringing up about 3rd and 2 for Alabama. Ball at around the Georgia 42-yard line. Clock has ticked to just over 12 minutes to go in the third quarter. This is the first possession of the first half, of the second half for either team. Bama 9 of 11 on third down. Simpson in the shotgun is going to take the snap just before it gets to 0. Throws it out to number 81, who is going to get to about the 25-yard line. And that'll be another first down, the third first down on this drive for Alabama. Number 81, this receiver, barely manages to escape the guy covering him and gets Alabama to the red zone on their first drive of the second half for Alabama. Simpson now 17 of 25 with 223 yards. And, of course, the 2 touchdowns he threw earlier in the game. Simpson in the shotgun, 1st and 10, number 17 in motion. Simpson flips it out, gets a screen, but he's going to get wrapped up. Miller gets wrapped up for about a 2-yard loss on the play. Brings up 2nd down and about 12 for Alabama. Miller going to come out the game. Second and 12 for Alabama. Breaks the huddle here. Simpson immediately goes into shotgun. Bernard joins him to his right in the backfield. Finally, a touchdown in the Penn State-Oregon game. I saw that right in the corner of my eye. Flips it out to Bernard. Bernard, nowhere to go. Finally, he gets back to the original line of scrimmage to bring up 3rd and 10 for Alabama. If Bernard could have gotten free just a few inches to his left, then that could have gone for a little bit more there. Instead, it just barely gets the original line of scrimmage. Officially, they rule it 3rd and 11 for Alabama. Alabama 10 of 12 on 3rd downs tonight. Simpson in the shotgun all alone. Looks to throw. Throws it. Oh, the guy slipped before he could get to the ball. He was trying to get it to Cuevas, but Cuevas slipped. Brings up 4th down and 11, and more than likely we're going to see the Alabama field goal unit come out. And Simpson's trotting off the field, so we will see the field goal unit for Alabama. Solid start to the drive, but then falls apart. So Connor Talty is on to kick a field goal to bring it to 27-14 for Alabama. Snap, hold, good. Oh, he shanked it way to his left. So the first possession of the second half comes up empty for Alabama. So the score with 9:37 left to go in the third quarter, score remains Alabama 24, Georgia 14. Way left. I don't know if his foot turned on him at the last second, but score remains exactly where it was. So much for double dipping, as Alabama will now have to go on defense. Hopefully, Alabama's pass defense was able to settle itself down during the halftime break, because Alabama's pass defense, although it looked solid throughout the first half, looked shaky on a couple of possessions in the second quarter, which directly led to the 2 touchdowns that Georgia has on the board so far. We'll see if Alabama can correct that as we go through in the second half. Good news for Alabama is that regardless of what happens on this drive here for Georgia, Alabama will remain with at least a 3-point lead. Ideally, if you're Alabama, you want to hold Georgia from any score completely, but at least you can run into this with guaranteed to have the lead after this drive. But you definitely have to play better against the pass if you want to even have a shot at winning the game, because you just look completely shaky in the waning portions of the second quarter on pass defense. You really got to fix that before you find yourself being absolutely murdered by the Georgia offense. And especially with the way the offense was just stopped right there, Georgia might be wisening up to Alabama at some points. So you're definitely going to want to fix your issues on the pass defense, as well as build upon what you're already doing in the run defense. Still at a commercial break here. Here we go. Georgia is going to take possession of the football at their own 25-yard line. Their first possession of the second half, as Alabama's first one came up empty. Stockton has all sorts of time, fires it out to his running back, number 33, who is going to be stopped. My TV froze for some reason, even though the TV that's on the Oregon versus Penn State game is completely good for some reason. Apparently, he was stopped at some point, bringing up 2nd down and 4 for the Bulldogs. Gunnar Stockton, 7 of 11, with a touchdown so far and 85 yards. Stockton looked really good towards the end of the second quarter. Let's see if Alabama can find a way to stop him here, as he's in the shotgun with number 33 to his left. 86 for Georgia comes behind him, and he is going to take the snap, then tries a double trickery. No, he gets free. And can you stop him? Thank you. Track down, but not before he gets to the Alabama 30-yard line. What was that defense right there? Just looked like some people were standing completely still before number 3 finally gets in for Alabama to make the tackle after a large gain, as if they were somehow fooled into thinking it was going to be a double flick play. Stockton under center. Georgia has 160 rushing yards tonight and gets around the outside, and it's a first down plus some. And it's going to be another first down for the Bulldogs. Outside runs are now affecting Alabama's defense. Alabama only 86 rushing yards. Georgia, on the other hand, with 174. First down and 10. Finally, some signs of life from the Alabama defense, as they only hold number 33 to a yard there. Brings up 2nd down and 9 for the Bulldogs from their own 14-yard line. Seven and a half minutes left to go in the third quarter. Georgia with the possession. Stockton in the shotgun. Play is being whistled down for some reason before the ball even had a sense of being snapped. What in the hell happened here? What the heck happened here? Something was whistled. Nobody took a timeout. I don't know what happened. Are they potentially maybe seeing if there was targeting on the play? If number 22 was targeting, it doesn't look like 22 was targeting on the play. It looked like he led cleanly with the face mask and accidentally hit the other guy as he was dipping, as they both did their heads down at the exact same time. Don't know exactly what they're reviewing here. Don't really think there's enough evidence to call targeting there. Okay, officially confirmed that it's a booth-initiated review for targeting. Targeting not called officially on the play, but now they're reviewing to see if it is targeting. Looking at the replay, I don't think there's enough evidence, because they have to have enough evidence, since the initial call on the field was no targeting, to say that it was targeting. And I really just don't see enough evidence to call it targeting, because shoulder area, but then the Georgia player, it looked like he was aiming for the shoulder area only for him. Oh, they're calling it targeting. James Smith, number 23, was the one who they called for targeting, even though he clearly didn't even land in the area of targeting. Gives Georgia a 1st and goal. So Georgia gets the ball 1st and goal following the targeting call. tough break for Alabama there. NCAA been really inconsistent this year with the targeting ruling. As did he stop him just shy of the goal line? Ref ruling for now that he stopped him just shy of the goal line. 2nd and goal for the Bulldogs. Oh, yeah, he's short. About a yard short of the goal line. Stockton in shotgun, hands it off. Touchdown, Bulldogs. No, wait. They're waving it off as though it was whistled dead. Something was whistled dead. Again, I'm watching it without audio. There's a review for something. Are they whistling it dead to see if he crossed the goal line on the previous play? I thought he was clearly short. And the review looks like he was also short there. I think they're going to keep the original ruling on the field. So after a relatively short view, here's the call. Original call on the field is upheld that he was stopped short of the goal line. So it'll be 2nd and goal for the Bulldogs with 6:44 left to go in the third quarter. In the third quarter. Did I say fourth by accident? I meant third. So for a 5-play, 73-yard drive for the Bulldogs, as clock ticks to about 6.5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Stockton in the shotgun. And, it looked like he was about to be dragged down backwards, but then he manages to pull himself forward for the touchdown for the Bulldogs. And that is going to put the Bulldogs within 3 points to time the game, barring something crazy happening on this upcoming extra point. Again, Bama still in the lead because they came into the drive with a 10-point lead. But not what you wanted to see if you're Alabama. Bama looked very vulnerable against the outside run on that play. Going to have to find a way to close that hole quickly if you're Alabama. Extra point is good for Georgia. With 6.5 minutes left to go in the third quarter, the score, Alabama 24, Georgia 21. And that is going to bring us to yet another commercial break. Sorry, I accidentally played another stream's audio. Still at a commercial break in the Bama Georgia game. Meanwhile, in the Penn State versus Oregon game, that has made it to the fourth quarter. Penn State 10, Oregon 3. If you're Alabama, you're going to want to score on here. Give your defense a little cushion to work with. Because, oh boy, has your defense really been letting you down in a lot of crucial points, and you got to be grateful you have the lead here and that it held up in the first quarter. Otherwise, you'd be down bad here against Georgia. You got to find something. Got to find something to be able to do here if you're the Alabama defense. And if you're the offense, you can start by giving them a cushion a little bit to work with by getting a touchdown and putting yourself back up by 10. You've led the whole game so far, but you're on the brink of potentially flubbing this game if you're Alabama. Back from a commercial break. Georgia football section just absolutely rocking right now. Georgia once again, 33 consecutive wins at Sanford Stadium, their home stadium, on the brink here of potentially getting a lead here if they can hold Bama out of the end zone and then score, which you don't want if you're Alabama. Kickoff is in the air, and it's going to sail out the back of the end zone, so Alabama's going to have the ball at their own 25-yard line to start their second drive. Had a very promising start to the first drive, only to stall out in the red zone and then miss a field goal. We'll see how Alabama can do on this drive. Simpson still looking great in the passing game, but was just unable to finish with points on that previous drive. So we'll see what Alabama can do here as we go late into and as we start to enter the later stages of the third quarter. 6.5 minutes to go. Simpson in a shotgun all alone. Bernard in motion. Simpson takes a snap, looking to throw. Throws it in a flat out to Bernard. Bernard gets a little bit of room, pushed out around the 30-yard line for a gain of 5 on the play. Second down and about 5 for Alabama. Clock ticking to almost 6:10 left to go in the third quarter. Alabama so far has absolutely ruled the time of possession game, but still finds itself in a dogfight with Georgia, no pun intended. Clock ticks below 6 minutes left to go. Simpson under center. Miller in the backfield. 2nd and 6 officially. Bernard in motion. Hands it off to Riley. That might be a horse collar. And the ref throws a flag. That's going to be horse collar against the Bulldogs, as the Georgia player just yanked the horse collar down for Alabama of Riley. Personal foul, horse collar tackle against the Bulldogs. Gives Alabama an automatic first down. Ooh, he not only did he yank the horse collar, but he practically dragged the Alabama player down to where he landed face first. Looked like almost like a nasty landing there. Critical mistake by Georgia, who has not made that many mistakes in terms of penalties so far in this game. I think it may only be the second penalty so far for Georgia. The fourth one. Bama, 3 penalties, 11 yards. Georgia, 4 penalties, 45 yards. 1st and 10. Hands it. I can't tell if that was Riley or if it was Miller, but he is going to get about a 6-yard carry there to bring up about 2nd and 4 for Alabama, and it was Riley on the carry for Alabama. 4 yards on the play. Miller we thought he was going to be a little bit more of a factor, but almost a non-factor so far for Alabama. Simpson in the shotgun, Riley to his left. Hands it off to Riley. Riley pulled down just shy of the first down. 3rd and 1 upcoming for the Crimson Tide as the clock has ticked below 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Simpson in the shotgun. Alabama 10 of 13 on third downs. Riley stopped before he can get to the first down. Fourth down and inches for Alabama. Might end up seeing a quarterback sneak possibly for Alabama. Simpson has gained at least 1 yard every time he's ran the ball. I think we might see a quarterback sneak here, or one of those fakery up the middle, then hand it off to the outside kind of plays. Simpson, they are going for it. Simpson is under center. Simpson under center. Handed off to Miller, who is going to be dragged down. No, wait, was it Simpson? Either way, it looks like Georgia stopped Alabama there. What was that play there? What the hell was even that call? Dude, Simpson. What the hell was that? He faked the handoff to Miller. Then tried to take it himself. If the plan all along was to have Simpson carry the ball and try to get the first down, why not just have Simpson sneak it up the middle? Handoff up the middle for Georgia gets them about a yard on the play. Second down and 9 for the Bulldogs. What the heck was that play there? I'm still confused. He faked the handoff to Miller, then tried to run it up the middle following Miller. What was the plan on the play there? Second and 9 for Georgia. Stockton in shotgun. Good protection there. Has a man. Luckily, he dropped it because he was wide open. Alabama, he was streaking down the field, number 11 for the Bulldogs. Streaking down the field wide open without an Alabama player even within a yard of him. But the pass was just enough. It hit him in the arm instead of the hands. Just enough to where he couldn't catch it. And so Georgia, 3rd and 9 here. Stockton all alone in the shotgun. Rush comes, batted at the line, almost intercepted for Bama. But luckily it falls mercilessly to the ground on 4th down, and that's going to bring up a punting unit. So the failed 4th down conversion turns out to be very minimal damage. Very minimal damage. And Alabama, with less than 3 to go and about to have the ball, is going to have a 24-21 lead, or I should say retain the 24-21 lead. And it's going to be fair caught right around the 9-yard line, which is where Alabama's going to have the ball. Placed it just enough to get it away from the Bama defender to where the critical mistakes that if they wouldn't happen, this game would look very different so far. Because Simpson, I don't know if he fit. Now that I think of it, he might have inadvertently failed to hand it off to Miller before having to try and run it himself. But whatever that was on that failed 4th down attempt, if Bama would have executed it successfully, could have scored there. Meanwhile, on the ensuing drive, Georgia receiver just completely drops the football when he was wide open. And so 3rd quarter, and it feels like absolutely nothing has happened, even though more than 12 minutes have ticked off the clock in the 3rd quarter. It feels like absolutely nothing has happened. Alabama offense about to have the ball. I am going to get another beverage and be right back. I'm back, and we are still at the break. Less than 3 minutes to go. Long commercial breaks would make a stream like this really difficult to do, because it's easy to call it when the action's going on, but commercial breaks run out of material almost really fast past the third quarter, or I should say past the second quarter. Luckily, it looks like the action's about to resume because they're doing the advertisements specifically that are specific for the game. Athens, Georgia Music Hall of Fame. Alabama going to take over deep in their own territory, right around their own 9-yard line. Simpson in the shotgun, Miller to the right of him. Now Miller's going to go out to the far side of the screen, and Simpson's going to be alone in the shotgun. Alabama can ill afford a sack, especially if Simpson crosses into the end zone. Throws it deep down the field, just overthrew Bernard. Brings up 2nd and 10 for Alabama. Neither team has scored so far in the second half. Second and 10 from the 9-yard line for Alabama. And if Alabama, I would not be too shocked if Alabama tried to hand it off to Miller to see if they can get a little bit of a cushion before third down here. 2nd and 10, Simpson in the shotgun. Miller going to take a trip out to the right. Looked almost exactly like the previous setup to the previous play, and it's an incomplete pass. Thank goodness, because the ball came out, but they rule that Simpson didn't have not Simpson. It looked like it was Ryan Williams. He tried to get it out to, didn't retain possession through the contact. Almost looked like he could have been called, like the defender could have been called for a face mask. But instead, it looked like absolutely nothing happened right there. So here we are, 3rd and 10 for Alabama. Alabama 10 of 14 on third down so far. Simpson in the shotgun sends Bernard out to the right. Miller in the shotgun with Simpson. Simpson throws it. Looked like it could have been pass interference, but they're not going to call it. Incomplete pass on the play, 4th down, and that's going to send out the punting unit for Alabama. Would not be surprised if Georgia tries to charge and get a block on the punt there, on the ensuing punt. Bama receiver got ran into on the play, but no flag on the play. Blake Dowd on the punt for Alabama. Punt is in the air. A lot of hang time, but not a lot of distance. And Georgia fair catches it at around their own 46-yard line. So that's going to be where Georgia has the ball when we come back with 2.5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Both offenses have been almost completely stagnant, with other than that lone touchdown for Georgia early in the third quarter. So correction to something I said earlier, that neither team has scored in the third quarter. Georgia did score early in the third quarter, but relatively uneventful other than that. Stockton in the shotgun with a running back to his right. Short pass gets 2 yards on the play for Georgia, bringing 2nd and 8 for the Bulldogs. Clock is ticking. By the time this next play happens, there's probably going to be less than 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Stockton in the shotgun, running back to his right, fakes a handoff, and stops for about a 3-yard gain for the Bulldogs. Bring up 3rd and about 4 for the Bulldogs. Had a few defenders missed a shot on Stockton, but ultimately managed to stop him. Georgia 0-4 on 3rd down tonight. Stockton runs it out. It looked like a flag flew in the middle of the field, although I might have confused the flag for something. Anyway, that Stockton's going to run it for gain of about 20 on the play before he's ultimately pushed down. Defense had a shot at him early, but then he gets free. Stockton hands it off to number 33, who makes a man miss, but then gets about a 4-yard gain. 2nd down and about 6 for Georgia. Clock ticking below a minute left to go in the third quarter. Neither team has used a timeout so far in the half, so it looks like both teams are going to go into the fourth quarter with all 3 timeouts. So we're probably going to be in, right now it is just shy of 10:30 Eastern. We're probably going to be in for a long fourth quarter. On a run, gets about 5 yards and a 1st down for Georgia, and Georgia's going to let the clock tick down. They have the ball deep in Alabama territory as we go into the fourth quarter with the score Alabama 24, Georgia 21. This feels almost like the exact same situation we saw last year in this game. For Alabama, had to lead in all 3 of the first 3 quarters. But then Georgia, who ended up knocking on the door, ended up getting a score only for Alabama to get the school to lead back almost immediately and Georgia not recover. Here we are through the end of 3 quarters, and Georgia not once has had the lead. But here we are. When the game comes back, Georgia will have the ball at the Alabama, I think, 15-yard line, if I remember correctly. Both teams have all 3 of their timeouts. So we could be here. As of right now, we've been on stream for 3 hours and 4 minutes. And it is 10:30 Eastern on the East Coast. By the time the game ends, it could end up very well being up to around 11:15 Eastern on the East Coast. This game so far, really you can't really say either team has really had the momentum for longer than 10 minutes because of the fact that just when it looks like Alabama has all the momentum in the world, Georgia stops that momentum. But then just when it looks like Georgia is about to take the momentum completely from Alabama, Georgia gets stopped. And that has led us to where we are in the fourth quarter when the game resumes, where Alabama is up 24-21 with Georgia knocking right on the door. So unless Alabama is going to need a critical stop with how stagnant their offense has looked so far, as Alabama's offense has gone almost nowhere in the second half. No scoring by Alabama so far in the game. Georgia did score off of a touchdown earlier in the second half, and that has brought us to where we are at. Georgia not really taking long, sustained drives, though. Really, it's been one or two plays here and there that have resulted in Georgia getting to where they are. Meanwhile, Alabama having the long, sustained drives, just eating up at Georgia. One long commercial break before we get to the fourth quarter. Feed comes back on ABC. So here we go here. It looks like lots of fireworks just got shot off at Athens, Georgia. Here we go, leading into the fourth quarter. Georgia fans absolutely rocking here in Athens. Starting the fourth quarter with Georgia on offense, 1st and 10. Milking out a lot of this thing. Georgia officially going to have the ball at the Alabama 17-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs. Georgia about to break the huddle. Alabama has 93 rushing yards. Georgia, on the other hand, has 215. That has been what's kept them in the game because their pass offense has been almost stagnant aside from 2 drives in the second quarter. Stockton in the shotgun. Hands it off to McCray. And McCray almost got free, but then he's managed to be snuffed down from behind, but still gets about an 8-yard gain on the play. 2nd and about 2 for the Bulldogs. If Georgia scores here, it'll be the first time Georgia has led all game, which will really make things very eerily reminiscent of that game last year in Tuscaloosa, as a haze has really drifted onto the field here. Stockton hands it off to McCray. McCray looked like he had a little bit of room, but it's going to be stopped at the line of scrimmage. Brings up 3rd and 3 for the Bulldogs. Now, if you're the Bulldogs, what do you do if you get stopped here? Do you go for it on a field goal, or do you go for it and hope to catch Alabama completely off guard? Do you go aggressive? Stockton in the shotgun. McCray's out of the game. 32 takes his place. Hands it off. Gets a little bit of room. Gets the first down. Stockton gets the first down for Georgia. That's going to bring up 1st and, I think, goal. I don't know. They didn't. It's 4th and 1. 4th and 1. And get stopped. What in the hell was that play there? What in the hell was that? Oh my goodness. What are you doing? What are you doing? What was the plan? You had one guy to beat and you let him get you. But the line. What in the hell has happened in this game? Oh my goodness. Is this game somehow true? Well, it's a game of the South, so it is. What in the hell? Oh my goodness. Just when Simpson in the shotgun, Bama takes over on downs. Simpson in the shotgun hands it off to Miller. Oh boy, that one was a terrible play. Oh boy. Miller gets stuffed for no gain on the play. Brings up second down and 10 for the Crimson Tide. Like, what happened? Did the haze on the field from the fireworks somehow backfire and get Georgia to not be able to see? Anyway, Simpson in the shotgun by himself. Bernard was being interfered with as he was going for the catch. No flag on the play, even though Bernard looked like he wanted one on the play. Brings up third and 10. Simpson also wanted roughing the passer, but he doesn't get it either. Third and 8 for the Crimson Tide. Clock ticking to below 13 minutes left to go in regulation. If Georgia fails to win this game, they will talk about that failed fourth down conversion. Simpson throws it out, gets it to Williams. First down, Alabama. 12-yard gain on the pass there from Simpson to Williams. As I was saying, if Georgia fails to win this game, they will point to that failed attempt on that fourth down play where he went absolutely nowhere and got pulled down behind the line, and say they should have kicked the field goal. Simpson in the shotgun, Miller to his right, hands it off to Miller. Miller had a little bit of a hole, but it closed quickly. Still gets about a 2-yard gain. Second down and 8 for Alabama. Clock ticks below 12 minutes to go in regulation. Alabama might go a little bit more conservative on first and second down to try and chew the clock as much as they can before giving the ball back to Georgia and try to score here. At least make it to where Georgia has to score a touchdown to even stand a chance. Simpson in the shotgun, Miller to his right. Has all day to throw, gets it to Horton. Well, more than the first down, gets it to the 45-yard line. First down, Alabama. Second first down for Alabama in 3 plays here, as Simpson just delivered a beautiful pass to Horton. Gets it to just shy of the 45-yard line of Alabama. First and 10 for the Crimson Tide. Clock ticking to a low 11 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Simpson under center. Takes a handoff to Miller before doing a dump-off pass to Cuevas, who gets the first down plus a few more yards. Passes midfield, and it's going to be first and 10 for Alabama, right around the Georgia 48-yard line. Alabama needs to break the huddle quickly. Looks like Alabama broke the huddle a little bit later than they wanted to. Flags flying, indication that it's a false start against Alabama, and it is. False start, Bama. So that's going to back up Alabama up 5 yards. Georgia crowd absolutely rocking. Might have caused a player to shift incorrectly. That's going to bring up first and 15 for Alabama and put Alabama back behind Georgia territory. Simpson 22 of 35 so far tonight with 267 yards. As the clock has ticked below 10 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, right around 9.5 minutes, Simpson alone in the shotgun takes the snap, barely manages to get it out to his receiver, who gets about a 3, maybe 4 yard gain. It was Williams who accepted the pass, and it's going to get Alabama about a 3 yard gain there. Second down and about 12 for Alabama coming up. Just barely managed to get it out to Williams before he got hit. 2nd and 13 is the official spot on the play. Simpson alone in the shotgun. Man in motion is Bernard. He's going to hand it off to Bernard. A little bit of a hole. Gets it back to the Georgia 40-yard line before he's pushed out of bounds. So that's going to bring up about 3rd and I want to say about 8. It depends on where they spot it. Third and 7 for Alabama. Alabama really good on third down so far tonight, except for in this quarter. Simpson alone in shotgun, takes a snap. Lots of time to throw. Throws it. Incomplete pass. Alabama looking for a flag, but doesn't get it. A lot of questions on what is a pass interference on this play. As the official, I don't even think there's been a pass interference call in this entire game on either side. So I guess the official's just letting him play in this game. Meanwhile, the punt, really beautiful, stops and pins Georgia right around their own 4-yard line, which is where Georgia's going to have the ball when they start the next drive. Offense, ever since Georgia's first drop, Georgia scored on their first drive of the third quarter. No team has scored since, and both teams have been good at moving the ball, but they can't score to save their life. Aside from that one play in the third quarter Georgia scored on, neither team has been able to move the ball or score effectively in this fourth quarter. And both teams have had beautiful opportunities to possibly score, but turned into nothing. We had the failed Alabama 4th and 1, where it looked like Simpson wanted to hand it off to Miller, but for some reason didn't and tried to run behind Miller. Couldn't really get anywhere. And then we had Georgia running back get pulled down from behind on 4th and 1, that if he would have not been pulled down from behind, would have been a touchdown, but instead he got pulled down from behind the line of scrimmage and stopped. And then, of course, that drive got into the Georgia side of the field, but then stalled. So now, here we are. Georgia has the ball at their own 4-yard line coming up once the game returns from commercial. And neither team really haven't been able to do anything outside of that one drive Georgia had where they scored. Neither team's been able to do really much of anything in the second half. As we get to, I want to say when the game returns, we'll have about 9 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. As it feels like the complete opposite of last year. Well, actually, no, scratch that. First half was all offense. This one's been all defense. Alabama outscored Georgia 24-14 in the first half. Georgia has outscored Alabama 7-0 in the second half. But Alabama still holds on to a 3-point lead here in the fourth quarter. Now, we all remember last year where Georgia finally scored. Well, Georgia held no lead until about 2.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Then Alabama wakes up at that point and manages to get it together to win the game with the Ryan Williams touchdown followed by the Xavier Brown interception that put the game on ice. This conclusion has the feeling that it's going to be that way. However, we are in Georgia's home stadium. So best case scenario here is that Alabama is able to stop Georgia on this drive here. Stockton in shotgun hands it off to the running back McCray, who is going to get the first down on the first play. So already bad signs for Alabama. Clock ticks down, now below 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Both teams have all 3 of their timeouts. So time not an issue for either team here. Stockton in shotgun. 33 joins him to the right. Hands it off. Flag on the play. Flag flew. Alabama pointing like it's going to be a holding against Georgia. And it is holding against Georgia. So that's going to back Georgia up 10 yards. So instead of the 5-yard gain they just had with the running back, it's going to be 1st and 20 for the Bulldogs. Just over 7.5 minutes in regulation, but again, all 3 timeouts for both teams. So clock really not an issue for either side, I would say, in this game. Clock moving again. Georgia at their own 9-yard line. Stockton in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Gets it out to his running back, who gets about, I want to say about a 6-yard gain on the play. Brings up 2nd and 9 for the Bulldogs. Clock ticks below 7 minutes left to go in regulation. Stockton takes the snap. He is going to be tracked down behind the line for a loss of about 2 on the play. Brings up 3rd down and about 11 for the Bulldogs. Clock ticking to below 6.5 minutes left to go in fourth quarter. 3rd and 11. Stockton in the shotgun. Georgia 1 of 6 on 3rd down tonight. Stockton takes the snap. All kinds of time. Completes it out, and it's going to be a 1st down to number 1. Branch on the play. 1st down and 10 for the Bulldogs. Again, feels eerily similar on this drive to what happened towards the end of the game last year when these two teams met. Bulldogs at their own 36-yard line, 1st and 10. Stockton in shotgun, takes the snap, throws it out in the flat to number 18, who gets about a 5-yard gain on the play. Brings up 2nd and 5 for the Bulldogs. Neither team has taken a timeout so far in the second half. As the clock is about to tick below 5 minutes to go in the game. So it looks like both teams late in the fourth quarter will have all 3 of their timeouts. So clock not really an issue for either team. Stockton in the shotgun, takes the snap, looks to throw, all kinds of time, dumps it off to his running back, number 33, who gets the first down plus about 4 yards. Stockton, first and 10, Stockton in the shotgun, 4.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Bama might be looking to hold them to a field goal and then try to have as much time as they can to score a touchdown. Short pass gets maybe a yard on the play. Second down and 9 for Alabama. Number 8, Young on the play, was the receiver for the Bulldogs. Second and 9. Clock ticks below 4 minutes to go in the game. Crunch time here. Both teams with 3 timeouts. I'm surprised neither team has taken a timeout on this drive here. Second and 9. Stockton in the shotgun. Under all kinds of pressure. Incomplete pass. Tried to get it to number 1, Branch, but it falls mercilessly to the ground instead. And that's going to stop the clock, so neither team has to use a timeout there. Third and 9 for the Bulldogs. If Alabama stops them here, dude, does Georgia punt? I mean, both teams have all 3 timeouts, so the clock wouldn't be an issue there. But does Georgia trust their defense to stop Bama? Almost had a bad snap there. Flag on the play. It looks like it's going to be holding, but it might not even matter if it is, because Alabama stops Georgia for a massive loss on the play. Illegal shift against Georgia. Illegal shift against Georgia. I'm shocked at what the call was because it looked like holding, but instead they're going to call it illegal shift. Either way, doesn't really affect the outcome of the play because I think they called it. Yeah, either they declined it or they added it on to what was lost. Georgia is going to be forced to punt with less than 3.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and Alabama is going to receive the punt at their own 12-yard line, gets the ball with just over 3 minutes to go in the game, or regulation. Again, both teams have all 3 of their timeouts. So the chances are we're going to see at least one team take a timeout here. If you're Alabama, more than likely it's going to be Georgia. But if you're Alabama, you're going to want to at least put Georgia in a position where they use as many of their timeouts as possible before they touch the ball again. Georgia will see the ball again at some point before the game's over. All 3 timeouts plus the 2-minute timeout. So essentially at least 4 timeouts for Georgia, depending on how they elect to use their actual timeouts. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, and I'll be back in just a little bit. Here we go. Action has resumed. Well, at least the feed is back from the commercial break. First and 10, Bama. 3 minutes and 19 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. They hold a 24-21 lead over Georgia. Simpson under center. He's going to hand it off to Miller, who bursts himself forward. Good run of about 7 yards for Alabama. Brings up about 2nd and 7 for Alabama. Alabama might go a little bit more conservative than they have on their previous drives. Try and chew as much clock as they can possibly and get Georgia to have the ball with as little time as left as possible. Possibly score if they can, but the main priority has to be chewing clock off to prevent Georgia from having a lot of time. 2nd and 3 for Alabama. Simpson now in the shotgun. Wouldn't be surprised if we see Simpson try to run it at some point in the drive. Timeout, Alabama. That's not what you wanted to do if you were Alabama. You have to take a timeout there. That's going to stop the clock with about 2 minutes 32 left to go in the fourth quarter. Not really what you had in mind if you're Alabama. If any team was to take a timeout on this drive, you would have wanted it to be Georgia. That way they don't have 3 timeouts when they get the ball back. Instead, that happened. Luckily for Alabama, they're very close here to getting the first down. So if you can get the first down, you're more than likely going to force Georgia to have to take at least 1 timeout before they get the ball back again. If you're Alabama, your main priority here has to be getting at least 2 first downs. I would think if you're going to be comfortable giving the ball back to Georgia, you would want at least 2 first downs on this drive, because if you get 2 first downs on this drive, you would force Georgia to take at least 2 of their timeouts if you use the time correctly, to where Georgia would only have about a minute left in the game with 1 timeout to play with. Obviously, if you're Alabama and you can score, you want to score. But your main priority has to be taking time off the clock from Georgia. Again, when the game resumes again, Bama will have the ball 2nd and 3 with about 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Remember, Georgia has all 3 of its timeouts and the 2-minute timeout that happens. So essentially, Georgia has 4 timeouts. So if you're Bama, you're going to want to have Georgia have no more than 1 timeout remaining when it gets the ball back, when they get the ball back. So I would expect Alabama to be a little bit more conservative than they have been when it comes to the clock and their approach on offense. Back for commercial. Again, 2:32 left to go in the game. Bama has the ball. Bama has the ball 2nd and 3, leading 24-21. Georgia with 2 timeouts. Georgia with 3 timeouts. Alabama with 2 timeouts. Simpson in shotgun. Miller is with him to the right. Maybe Simpson tries to go on a run here. Hands it off to Miller. Just shy of the first down, possibly even got it. you could possibly take this down to the 2-minute timeout here. Officially ruled 3rd and 1. What's going on here? The clock isn't moving. Oh, Georgia took their first timeout. That's a good sign if you're Alabama. Georgia took their first timeout before the 2-minute timeout. So at worst, after the 2-minute timeout, Georgia would only have 2 timeouts rather than 3. 1 yard to gain for Alabama. So Alabama, if they play their cards right, may not even have to give the ball back to Georgia and can just run the timeout, because they've just forced Georgia to take its first timeout before they even got to the 2-minute timeout. Game didn't even bother to go to commercial there. Stockton pacing all over the sideline, hoping he can somehow get a shot at giving Georgia the win here. Simpson under center. Looks like it might be a tush push situation. Tush push. Simpson. Second effort might have got it. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. Flag fell somewhere behind the play. Flag fell somewhere behind the play. What's the call here? Something happened after the play was over. It's a personal foul against Georgia. Sorry. I sat on the remote for my second TV, which is on the Oregon Penn State game, which that game's gone into overtime. But anyway, Simpson got the first down. Then after the play was over, I'm muting the TV for a sec. I'm sorry, muting my mic so that way I can turn the TV's volume on. Oh, I'm sorry. Because it showed a replay of a Georgia guy just leaping into the scrum, and it was a personal foul. I thought for a second it might have been a targeting, but they're not reviewing anything for targeting as we get to the 2-minute timeout. When we resume action, Alabama will have the ball first down, up 24-21. Georgia with 2 timeouts. A first down could essentially end the game. All right. I'm going to get my last beer of the stream, assuming we don't go into overtime. Be right back. All right, here we are. Game still at commercial. Here's the situation. If Alabama can get a first down, then at the very least, Georgia would get the ball back with less than a minute to go in the game and no timeouts left to go. Two timeouts would essentially guarantee Alabama gets the win. Georgia, if they can stop Alabama from getting a first down, would have a shot at winning the game. But you would assume they would take a timeout on first down, then take a timeout on second down. So best case scenario for the Bulldogs would be they would get the ball with just over a minute left to go in the fourth quarter and no timeouts. Anyway, barring a weird turnover for Alabama, Georgia is going to get the ball with no timeouts left to go. So they would have to go for these like outside towards the sideline kind of passes thing. If you're Alabama, you're the most comfortable you've been since the end of the first half. However, you cannot let them just get to you. You have to find some way. You have to get, I would assume, at least one first down if you're Alabama. Touchdown almost guarantees a victory for Alabama because it would be a 2-score game. Oh, that looked like it might have been a targeting because he was leaping really high in the air. I don't know if they even reviewed it for targeting, but Simpson in the shotgun hands it off to Miller. Miller gets free, about a 6-yard gain on the play. I'm assuming that's going to force Georgia to take their second time out of the game. Second time out of the half. Clock is stopping, even though the play clock was still moving. And Georgia looks like it did take its second time out. And yeah, the graphic was a little bit behind for some reason there. Again, I have to rely solely on what is seen on the TV screen because per the copyright law, I cannot have the audio running as I'm running my own talking audio. So I'm relying solely on what I'm seeing on the TV screen. And that's why when there's a review going on, I have to mute the mic and then listen to what's going on so that way I can hear what's going on. But anyway, 2nd and 4, Alabama has the ball. Minute 55 left to go in the fourth quarter. Simpson in the shotgun. Miller to the right of Simpson. Simpson hands it off to Miller. This time he's going to be stuffed behind the line, bringing up third down. And we assume Georgia would now be out of timeouts. Something weird and Georgia does take its final timeout. So Georgia will have absolutely no more timeouts. They cannot stop the clock anymore unless they have the ball and are able to get it out of bounds. So what do you do if you're Alabama here? You obviously don't want to give Georgia the ball back with any more than a minute left to go in the game. First down, the game is over. Kalen DeBoer talking it over on the sideline with Simpson. See what he wants to go with here. 3rd and 5 is officially what it is ruled for Alabama. First down, and the game is pretty much over because Georgia would not be able to stop the clock, and you can just take 3 knees on the play. Alabama 12 of 18 on third down today. Simpson in the shotgun. Bernard in motion. Simpson flips it out, gets it, and he's got the first down, slides down in bounds. That might be it. That might be it. That might be all she wrote, folks. Miller was wide open on that play. Simpson easily able to get it to Miller. Gets easily the first down. And barring some crazy voodoo magic, whatever the hell you can think of, Alabama is in prime position to win the game. Simpson takes the knee. Alabama will have to take at least one more knee because there's about a 20-second difference between the game clock and the play clock. So Alabama, even though it's not technically over, Alabama pretty much won the game. And I did not think in the offseason I would ever be able to say we beat Georgia in Athens. And it is official. Alabama goes into Athens and wins against Georgia. Once again, breaking the hearts of every Georgia fan. Once again, proving everybody who said we could not beat Georgia, proving them wrong. Proving everybody wrong who said we cannot beat a great team after what happened in Florida State. An amazing game here from Alabama. Goes into Athens and wins. Final score officially, Alabama 24, Georgia 21. Georgia's 33-game winning streak on the road has been, 33-game winning streak at home has been snapped. Kalen DeBoer, you the man. Against ranked teams that are ranked going into the game, you the man. You the man, Kalen DeBoer. Just when everybody doubted you, you came through for Alabama. Now, it's not over yet. We still got plenty of tough games left to go. But oh boy, does it feel good to be able to say we beat the Dogs. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the stream. Thank you for everybody if you're going to end up watching the stream afterwards to see what my reaction was during the game. Thank you. Thank you for the support of the channel. Thank you to the Code Company for your support and the commemorative merchandise. Again, if the channel grows, I might look to do merchandise. Can't make any guarantees. But thank you, everybody. It's been fun hanging out tonight. It's been fun to be able to come on YouTube and watch Alabama get a big win over Georgia. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned. I'm about to drop a post-game reaction. Short. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And thank you very much for your support. Very thankful for the support you've given me. We have 171 subscribers as of right now. And it feels good. Just when everybody doubted Alabama, we come through and we win. Roll Tide. Thank you, everybody. You have a great night and a wonderful Sunday.